We welcome you back to the Student Section, a podcast for student athletes and by student athletes. I'm William Rosen. Today, we are joined by two extraordinary athletes and a member of our podcast nonetheless. Please welcome Julia Zydanowicz and Parker O'Brien. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
And of course, I'm joined to my left by Tommy Armstrong, co-host and extraordinaire of everything.
I'm excited to be here today. As a non-runner myself, we got a lot to learn and dive into today.
Yeah, for the record, I can't run. So this is going to be great to learn a little more about what you do. But we're going to start off with a bang here. You guys have an unbelievable road trip coming up, right? So take us through a little bit about that schedule. What's coming up this weekend?
So this weekend, we're going to Williamsburg, Virginia. We have the Colonial Relay, so we leave tomorrow at 6 a.m. and we'll be there probably around 2 p.m.
Okay.
Pre-meet, and then Friday, Saturday are competition days, and then we'll probably get back at like 2 a.m. on Sunday.
2 a.m. on Sunday.
Yeah.
So you're there the entire time. So I assume you'll probably fall asleep on the bus going tomorrow morning.
Yes.
And then are you with it once you get there, or are you a little dopey?
Depends.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like the long bus ride with the entire team is
Something.
yeah.
Okay, so you're there the entire weekend, and tell us a little bit about what the Colonial race entails.
So I'm in the 800 at like Friday morning, and then we're doing the 4x15 relay on Saturday. We're trying to maybe get a school record. That would be great. And yeah, those are the races we're doing. Mm-hmm. But it's basically just races all throughout Friday and Saturday. We have a few people in the 10K and a few people in the 1500. But yeah, it's a busy 2 days.
How many members of the team are traveling down to Virginia?
I don't even know.
Yeah. I know a lot of our team's going.
I mean, we have a huge team.
Yeah.
So
So it's
I
gonna
know our bus is going to be full.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
yeah.
So it's gonna be a packed bus.
Yeah.
Okay. When you make these long trips that are not on the plane, is there something that you like or dislike, or is there music playing? Is it more of a sleepy vibe, or just do it yourself? What's the vibe on these long bus trips? Because I know a lot of other teams will fly or won't take as many of these long bus trips.
Yeah. It really just depends on the vibe. I think. I like to listen to music. I like to kind of tune the bus ride out. But there have been times where we'll play games or we'll play like Paranoia.
Paranoia?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with
I'm
Paranoia?
not. We got to dig into that a bit.
Well, it's like where you say like you whisper to the person next to you a name, and then they have to say something about that person.
Ooh.
And then you flip a coin to see if you're gonna tell who that person is.
So there's a little drama on
Yeah,
these buses.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe we might have to implement this to the students.
Yeah.
It's caused some conflicts.
Okay.
Tiny ones.
So you're on this bus. There are stops on this bus. I assume it's not unless it is a straight go, right?
No.
Okay, that would be concerning for multiple purposes.
Yeah, we stop at the Maryland House like halfway through.
Okay, Maryland House.
Yeah, it's like a rest stop, so there'll be like food places, bathrooms.
Just a rest
whatever.
stop.
Yeah, just a rest stop. Yeah.
So you talked about some of the games you'll play, some things you do on the bus. How important is that bus mate sitting next to you, though, affecting that entire ride?
I think it's pretty important. Most of the time that we've gone on the bus for long meets, we've had the seat next to us open so you can kind of stretch out,
Okay.
Yeah.
do what you need to do. But tomorrow you got to choose wisely.
There you go.
There's a certain feel with I feel like every time I'm on Instagram right now, there's a record or there's some sort of medal it feels different this year. Can you guys attest to that? I feel like the performance this year has been unbelievable.
Yeah, I think we have the new addition of Coach Alicia, who's specifically coaching sprints, and I know with like Ryan Troklar, he's done so well, and our 4x4 team has been really strong this year, and also I think it's just a lot of athletes growing and maturing. Like Sierra Fisher, she's been doing so well this season. And I think, you know, being able to run with her and having been her training partner since freshman year, it's been amazing to see the growth that she's been going through. And yeah.
And this is your first season here, so talk a little bit about how you have come to Marist and how you made the choice to run here.
My choice was, like, I loved the school. I got to see a little bit of the team when I was here, but I made the decision pretty much based off the school. And now that I'm here, I think, like, the biggest thing for me has been, like, the team, and especially the girls' side. I think it's just such a supportive group of women, and it makes coming to practice really enjoyable, and you want to work harder. And I think that's kind of the mindset for a lot of the girls right now. Just get better, work hard, and you'll see your improvements.
Something that's so admirable is that runner's mindset. You guys are obviously facing off. There's teams, other players next to you when you're racing, but ultimately it's you against yourself when you're running, especially in practice. You've already mentioned you're out for records in that relay, so what's it like preparing for that?
It's a lot of work. I think, I mean, we wake up at 6:45, or we have 6:45 practice every day except Monday.
You have practice at 6:45.
Yes.
So what time do you wake up? 6?
Like 6, yeah.
Right,
So,
wow.
yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and we'll have lift on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5, so we come back, you know, go to practice, go to classes, and then we come back and, you know, put in the work. But I think it's just like Julia said, having such a supportive group of women and just a team overall, it makes it so much easier and it makes it so much more fun. Like, our lifts are so fun, with like Ben Fleet, and like we just like jam out
He's great.
music. He's
He's so
so
hype.
fun. Yes. Yeah. So it's I wouldn't personally be where I am. I wouldn't make it through the sport. No, not at all.
So this season is a little different on the opposite sides of the spectrum. Your first year, you'll be leaving soon, unfortunately.
A little bit of time.
A little bit of time. You have some time still, but as Marist, you know, track and cross country has you know, reached its like pivotal point of almost getting a track. How has it been not practicing on a track your entire career?
We go over to Vassar, so we'll practice on their track, but it's all on their rules. Like, there's been times where we brought a speaker and they're like, no, you can't do that.
Classic Vassar.
So yeah, I think being able to actually have our own track and be able to play our own music, and do our thing, that'll be so much more fun and better. But I actually learned I didn't learn, but now that I'm 21, I can drive the vans.
Okay.
So I took a test drive over to Vassar track one time. It was successful.
Do you think you'll continue this van in your post collegiate career? This van driving?
Definitely not.
Definitely not, okay.
No, I texted my dad and he was like, glad you made it.
Okay.
But
Were you confident going in? Because for those who don't know, you can apply to become a van driver, and that can be for, you know, athletics or for a ministry. You could just drive a van, and that's really what you do. So you took the test drive?
yeah, took the test drive over to Vassar and I succeeded.
Okay, good.
It went well.
You're here?
Yeah, I'm here.
we go.
I'm a little bit short for the pedals, but it's fine. We made it.
You guys jam into these vans every time you go to Vassar. I've seen
Yes.
pictures and people have told me stories. Just if you do it as much as you do, you get used to it. But it's going to be so much easier, right?
Yeah, especially for 6:45 practice, not having to like travel to the track and then travel back. I mean, there's been days where I'm pulling up in the van and hopping out of the car for my 9:30, so it makes the logistics of it a lot easier.
Have you been kind of impressed? I mean, it's kind of come about really quickly. You see the pole coming up now, and hopefully, if there's no delays, everything will be set for next semester. What's your kind of word of encouragement, just to say, you don't have to work? Of course, you have to work hard. Don't get me on that quote, but it's kind of just you've been hoping for something like this for so long.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just gonna be fun to have our own track. Like, I think for everyone to use as well. But I think just to be able to like walk out our door and then walk down to a track, like just that simple move of like, oh, we don't have to, make plans to like drive over to another track and be on another person's rules.
It's what it should be.
Yeah.
It's what it should be. I'll say it.
I think also even just for the track program, it's huge. I think even this year, like the improvements that our team has made are huge. And now being able to have our own facilities, like the pole vaulters will get their own area. They don't have to travel for practice. I think it's only going to make us stronger. So it's really exciting to see.
Yeah, I think in terms of recruiting as well, it's it's a selling point. Yeah.
Yeah, just continuing to build upon that. You mentioned your own facilities, your own rules. You already talked about the speaker and the issues with Vassar on that. So I want to know, especially those early morning workouts, what's the music that goes into it? What's the music that keeps you going during these runs?
Well, our team's lately been listening to Nokia by Drake.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
That's our executive producer, Gary Sussman's favorite song.
Yeah, that's been on repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll have a little bit of EDM. Depends on who's on aux.
Yeah.
But
Is there someone who you will, dish out and say has a poor music taste in your opinion?
I don't think so. I think everyone has some pretty good music.
These are good answers, and we have a reason why these are so good answers. These two are, I would say you have been in the communication and journalist field for a while, not just on the track, but you wrote for your paper, right? You wrote for your paper. You wrote for your paper. Someone wrote for their paper. You wrote at high school.
yeah, no.
Oh.
None of us.
I'm sending incorrect information.
She's a biology major.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I am a sports communications major, as you know.
And you have your own podcast.
Yes.
Plug it.
Yeah. So I have a podcast. It's called Intersection, where culture and story meet. And basically, it's through the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And I basically get to interview people from all around the campus, from different departments. I've interviewed Alicia Samuel, our sprints coach. I've interviewed Miriam from Spiritual Life and Service, and I actually interviewed Jaden Collins-Roberts. That was a fun one. But basically just like get to know their story and get to know like their background and the importance of that, because I feel like, oftentimes where Intersection, the title came from, was that, we walk past people all the time on campus, but we know nothing about them. And I think there's a lot of times where we might even find common ground with those people that we don't interact with. So it's kind of having that interaction.
I think that's any podcast. I mean, look, today we're learning a little bit about you. That's just the goal, to be less of a stranger, especially at a school like this, just to know each other. I know Jaden Collins and Miriam, those are just two people that, you hear a lot of Jaden Collins. Do you know Jaden Collins? And that's what you try to aim here, and what we try and aim here. I think having a podcast and having a voice, especially what you're doing, is just incredibly special.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's another component to running as well, just opening up different promotions, fundraisers. I know you were part of Relay for Life, and there's a lot of just, community building in that aspect of walking, running. So what are some of the types of things that you guys have been a part of and look to kind of build more attention to?
Yeah, in high school I was a part of the Relay for Life. And I know here at Marist we try and go to a lot of like the walks and just show our faces at different things, just to kind of support the people at our school and in our community. And I think that's important for our team to like be a part of.
Yeah, I also think like the Marist community, it's pretty strong. I feel like just being able to show up for the Marist community, and like you said, like the Walk for Hunger, we were all there. And I think even some people on our team volunteered at the Special Olympics that just happened this weekend. So I think just being able to give back to the community and to be able to support the Marist community and what they're doing, it's so satisfying, and it's awesome. Yeah.
It's a great story, and I would say Parker, mean, we don't have to get into super detail. You have a great personal story of yourself when you were younger. You had, if you are comfortable with it.
Yeah. So I was adopted from Guizhou, China, when I was 2 years old, and then I also had open heart surgery when I was 2 years old as well. So, yeah, a lot happened in my first 2 years of life. So
Now you're using that heart to run. And
Yeah.
that's no, like seriously, because I give you not even credit, just I can't run, and it's something that I marvel. It's something that I don't do and really can't do, and to see
anyone can run.
anyone can run. Okay, maybe I have to put in the work and run a few blocks. So to see that's my start, and then we'll get to like 10 blocks. To see these people like constantly just running and just like it kind of frees you. From what I've heard, I have family members and people on the team. They just once you just start moving, do you find that your mind kind of just turns off?
Yeah, for sure. During races, it's like you said, it's such a mental thing, but being able to like tone into that and embrace the mental aspect of running, it helps you in every aspect of what you're doing. It helps you in school, helps you in personal connections, and it makes you a stronger person. And yeah, I mean, the feeling that you get from running, just being able to kind of put everything aside for a little bit, depending on how long you're going for, and just focus on doing something that you love is really freeing.
Yeah, I think also just running itself is like, we run over the bridge all the time.
The walkway over the Hudson.
Yeah.
How beautiful is that, man?
It's so
So
pretty.
nice.
Have you ever
Especially
been?
Oh, absolutely. Perfect.
during
Perfect
sunrise, because I mean, we're up
Yeah.
where you can
Yeah.
see it sometimes, and yeah, it makes
Yeah.
it all worth
Our,
it.
our teammate Mallory gets mad at us if she's not on the run and we take pictures without her. Yeah.
So you have the walkway over the Hudson during the sunrise, and that's going to lead to our famous student section question. What's your post-run meal?
I love the Donnelly breakfast sandwiches after my run.
The Donnelly breakfast.
Oh, sorry, the McCann.
Okay.
The Donnelly
I
ones
thought
are
it-
good. The
okay.
Donnelly ones are good, but
I was going to say not as good as McCann.
I don't agree.
Wait, which one do you like better?
Donnelly.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That is a shock.
But
Yeah.
breakfast McCann.
Breakfast McCann just because I'm in there, but yeah, I gotta go with Donnelly over McCann.
Okay. Post run meal.
I like the McCann quesadillas.
McCann quesadillas.
Yeah.
And is this convenience playing a factor too?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah, of
sure,
course.
but also the chicken bacon ranch quesadilla
Yes,
is
that's the
so
one. Had it
good.
yesterday.
Yeah, it's so good.
I feel like every athlete always it's just ordering in McCann. I mean, it's obviously there, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And the chefs are always so nice.
Yeah.
They're so nice. And then once you have that breakfast, you do some more workout. You go to school. What's your night looking like as a runner?
Well, I think with our early morning practice, I'm just chilling. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just watching TV and I'm in bed. I think I've become kind of like a grandma this year with the new
it's good.
practice.
It's good.
Who doesn't love that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in bed by like 8:30.
And you're watching a lot of TV has come out. Anything for the track team, the cross country team? Any TV to be on the lookout?
I mean, a lot of girls are watching Temptation Island right now.
Temptation Island.
Can't say
Yeah.
I've watched it, but I
Haven't.
do like some TikTok before bed.
Some TikTok before that. You can't go wrong with that.
No.
The team has kind of, I would say that the presence on social media, a lot of these runners, and I see a lot of day in the lives.
Yes.
I feel like this team in particular is very active on social media.
Yeah. I actually just filmed a day in the life for, I think it's going to be posted for Admitted Students Day.
Okay.
But it was like a day in the life for a first year athlete.
There you go.
And I just recorded my day, and yeah, so that'll be posted hopefully soon.
Do you feel confident? Were you vlogging it?
Yeah. Well, it was like a TikTok, and I just did like short clips of
Yep.
like little snippets of my day.
I've done a day in my life. I did it a few weeks ago. It's actually pretty fun to do.
It is fun. It's a little stressful trying to get like the perfect shot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was fun. I got to include a lot of my teammates.
Okay.
And a lot of people wanted to be in the video, so it was fun to record it.
Especially different seasons here, you guys, long distance running versus now you're into the spring season, different weather. What's the preparation and the day-to-day? How does that differentiate between a couple of different seasons that you guys have?
I mean, cross country is a little bit more chill, just because we're all running one race, and it's usually one day. So, yeah, we have a little bit more time just to kind of do our own thing, but I think it gets pretty hectic during indoor and outdoor because we're traveling a lot, and we're going to different facilities and tracks. I don't really know with like kind of the day-to-day.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that was a challenge this winter, I mean, starting practice at 6:45, it's cold.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And Marist is a windy campus, so running over the walkway and over the river.
Yeah, there
in
was
that
the
cold.
one workout. The first
Yeah.
workout we came back from winter break, and it was just me and her, and we were running. We couldn't run over the bridge because it was like icy, so we were running on the trail that was like right before the bridge, and one way was so windy, and the other way we were like flying, and it was awful.
Yeah.
What would you say the biggest misconception about runners is?
I think that anyone can do it. I think a lot of people can go out and go for an easy run, but not a lot of people can run at like the level that we are and for the time that we do it. And I think a lot of people like don't have that mental ability to kind of just lock in and put in the work and do what we do at such a high level. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more. I mean, people can probably tell that it's a lot of mental work, but I feel like goes so deep, and it kind of, I think, with running, you do it every single day, and we have one day off. But if we like take like 3 days off or like 2 days off, like you're out of shape basically. So it's a tough sport, and it's a brutally honest sport. Like it's not something that you can cheat or like you can kind of get by with. Like you just like you put in the work and then you'll see the outcomes, or you don't. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you're not having a great day on the track, you don't get subbed out, you don't get a break. It's like you got to push through it and keep going. And that can be hard, and that can be mentally straining when you don't have a good race and you have to come back the next weekend and try again. And sometimes things don't go your way, and so being able to push past that and kind of get over that mental block can be tricky.
yeah. I think also with running, if you run really well, like say you have like a really good race, you PR or whatever, you have like this sense of euphoria. It's called runner's high. And so kind of when that happens, and then going back to like normal life of like classes and just regular practices, there's a come down. So it's tough. Yeah.
And since this really takes place in the morning, I assume you schedule classes a little bit during the later day so you can take a little bit of a rest? Or do you just go right through it?
They run
I
right to class.
have 9:30s every day except Wednesday, so I'm going from
Okay, so that's
practice straight to class.
okay.
And
Tuesdays are bad, right?
Yeah, my Mondays and Tuesdays I have 2 classes and then a lab. So I'm not done with class until like 3, and then Monday 4:45 and Tuesdays 3 o'clock. So my days are pretty packed, but my afternoons are a little bit more chill, which I get to kind of just do some homework and relax.
What's your message to the parents and the fans and the donors that really support what you guys do? What's your message to them as next season rolls around and now there's a physical location that people can come and watch you guys compete?
I mean, thank you. First and foremost, I think thank you for believing in the track program and us, and for giving us the resources to be able to grow and become a better team. Yeah.
Julia?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of us on the team, and so having enough resources and enough like opportunities for the team, like it helps, and it makes us better. So yeah, thank you.
Maybe next year we can all be on a runner's high as the,
Yeah.
as the new stadium
Yeah.
comes
Wait,
to
well,
fruition.
maybe you can come on a run with us one time.
That'd be
I know.
nice.
I know.
That'd be
Ben
a nice
Leeds.
interview.
Ben Leeds came on a run with us.
I
And
think
We had Ben Fleet come with us
Yeah.
too.
I think
We
this
did.
might have to be a student section exclusive next.
Yeah.
Even,
Yeah.
It could be this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
You guys
Right
are
before
running.
Max.
All right, we're going to put this down. I'm going to start running, and this is going to end really well. It's been an absolute pleasure for you two to join us, learn a little bit more about cross-country, track and field, your personal lives, and that's what we do here in this news section. Lift, the stories and explore the voices.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys being on. Love absolutely tapping into the runner's mentality and just the consistency you guys have to perform at such a high level.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
We are going to stay on track with this week's episode of Hot Coals.
My name's Cole Marciano. We're here on a beautiful day on Marist campus. We're presenting you an episode of Hot Coals. We're going around asking fans of baseball if what the Yankees did with the bats is just or not. Let's go see what the Marist people have to say. All right, I'm here with my friends.
William.
I'm here with,
Toby Akinde.
guess who we found walking?
Tyler Simler. What's up, guys?
All right. I'm here with,
I'm Kevin.
you know him, you love him, it's Eugene. Our resident Yankee fan, and we need to know, what's your opinion on the torpedo bats?
Well, I found out through TikTok, fortunately, but I don't follow baseball that much, but I feel like the bats are a pretty big controversy.
Do you think it should be allowed to change the shape of the bat, or do you think
I thought it would be okay, but then after seeing like the Yankee put up 20 runs in 7 innings against the Brewers.
High fly ball center field. Mitchell back on the track at the wall. See ya! 3 home runs for Aaron Judge. They've done.
Probably not ethical. I know they got some sluggers, but
Yeah, I think they should be allowed to alter the bat a bit, give them a little bit of mobility to be able to play better.
And do you think this controversy stems from it being the Yankees? If it was any other team, would anybody else really care?
Honestly, no. I just think the Yankees have a target on their back for some reason, and honestly, it's hard to fight off. So we fight on.
The Yankees sticking it to everybody.
I think it should be allowed if all teams are allowed to use them, but I'm pretty sure I read an article that said that they use like an independent person to make them, so all teams can't use them. So that's kind of a problem, but if it's fair, it's fair, I guess. I don't know.
I don't think they're anything that's particularly new. Other teams like the Cubs have been experimenting with they've been experimenting with them a little bit over the past few seasons. It's just the Yankees and that MIT physicist just perfected it. The weight just gets redistributed into the barrel of the bat. I don't think it's drastic enough of a change to complain about. Every team can do it. It's legal.
I think they're stupid. I think they should be banned. It's an advantage. It's a wider bat. You know, it would have been done in the past if it was legal, you know. There's no reason it should have just come out of nowhere, right? And I think it's the Yankees. So everyone's
And also, I don't think a lot of players are going to want to use it because I was always kind of a baseball bat nerd myself, and moving the end load of the bat down a little bit towards the hands, it's kind of a dramatic change for the hitter. I don't think that many players will adapt. It's just going to be like an axe bat or a flared knob where it just becomes
To each their own, right?
To each their own. So,
I mean, remember as kids we played with those big, like thick plastic
Yeah.
bats, and we would just rock those. It's just
Barry
the same
Bonds,
thing.
right?
Yeah, so I think it's stupid.
Yankee fans are notoriously easy to stereotype. I will say that as a Yankee fan. I don't think it's coming out of anti-Yankee propaganda. I think it's a stat, it's a trend. 15 home runs over 3 games, and the first thing you notice is these crazy wiffle ball looking bats. I think if it was the Dodgers or the Red Sox or the Padres or any big market club, I do think the same thing would happen.
Well, Cole, thank you for that. That one was a good one. We are back here with Aidan Lavin. It's Aidan Asks. Let's throw it to Aidan.
Thank you, Will. I just wanted to start with, and hear me out. So, the track team, the first thing that you talked about was the bus ride. Not the very first, but one of the first things was the bus ride. And they mentioned, we have X amount of people and it's going to be a full bus. The House settlement, which is going to be done April 7th, that is House versus NCAA. They're going to have to pay out close to $2.8 billion if it's agreed upon. That may cut some roster spots on the track team. But being that it's March Madness and the Final Four is wrapping up as this comes out, I want to ask you guys about your thoughts, more Marist-centric, but just the portal and the coaches. How is that, in your eyes, affecting college basketball currently?
That's a great question. Aidan asks a bomb. I'll get it started.
Okay.
We'll open it up. Marist-wise, obviously we are in a position that we are in a mid-major conference. We are perennially on the men's side, not the highest performers. On the women's side, perennially we are one of the best performers. But the landscape has changed in women's basketball and in men's basketball. But something that doesn't get talked about enough is the portal's impact on football. And to Marist, that's not going to be as strong as a higher FCS program or a higher, of course, any FBS program. So I feel that sometimes the word, oh, he's entering the portal or NIL kind of gets thrown up in the air with this school because realistically the landscape is changing, right? Iona hired a general manager. They're in our conference. Sometimes people feel that we're lagging behind, or sometimes people feel that we're not doing enough. And then sometimes people say, you know what, let's stick to our roots and stick to how college sports are supposed to act. And I think right now there's just a question mark in the entirety of athletics here at Marist, at other majors, what to do. And I don't know necessarily it's a 1-year fix or a 2-year fix. I think we have to see what Iona does, and I think kind of use them as a baseline. A general manager in basketball in a mid-major level. Is that something that Marist is thinking about? Is that something that we have to do for every, portal type of sport? And it comes down at the end of the day to money. Who can you attract to play for your teams that get money? So it's becoming a professional league.
I believe the general manager question, they're going to have to hire one, being that they opted in and they said that they're going to be able to pay players directly. But by the time that this comes out, Josh could be at whatever school it is that he's at, and you could see it all the time. When the top talent on your team at the end of the year, especially with the portal now being so relevant, they tend to leave, and you saw that with Josh, and it's going to continue to happen because, as you mentioned, mid-major specifically, it's pretty much just a way to get yourself to a better school. Walter Clayton's done it, and he's performing at an incredibly high level.
Ethan Conrad.
Yeah, Ethan Conrad for baseball. And for the tournament specifically, we're seeing 1s and 2 seeds basically in the Final Four. And even throughout the entire round of 64, it was pretty much all chalk. So does it take away from the special feeling that the March Madness bracket gives when there's so many upsets and you have Florida Gulf Coast, you have Fairleigh Dickinson, Tobin Anderson, who was fired from Iona.
For this reason.
Yeah, for the reason of transfer portal and NIL money. Does this transfer portal, and even coaches, the stability is almost irrelevant at this point. Does it take away from how unique and special college basketball is?
I think definitely it does because, you got a lot of these guys that are distracted and they're thinking of, I need a good performance tonight so I can get out of this school. I mean, we just saw before this, we were talking, Merrimack's point guard, Bud Clark, just committed to Seton Hall. I mean, that's a MAAC guy going to a big-time program. And while they're not that good, that's still a huge upgrade for him. And I'm sure that they're very distracted when they're playing these games, just thinking of, do I want to play at this school for the rest of my career? Am I going to have a future playing at Merrimack, or am I have a future at Marist? And a lot of the guys, tend to not. And that's why I hate that our school is seemingly, for lack of a better word, a leapfrog school, where guys come in here, they do really well, and then they just leave. And we're going to see that with Josh Pasquarelli.
Go ahead, Stefan, and then I'll.
And kind of to add on to what you were just saying, a lot of the problem that I think is happening, like Aidan said, was the money issue, because any player can play basketball for however long they want, but it's the money that's coming down to it, where they're taking as much money as they can at the performance that they're having, so that if and when they were to get hurt or ended up having a bad year and then dropping down a division or not being the player they used to be, I think NIL and the money that they're being paid by their school is completely ruining college basketball and just football as well, because at this point you're just taking the biggest offer you can get and going there. And I think, like you said, Marist is a leapfrog school. We see it all the time. I mean, you come in here, you know that you're going to be able to play at a good level because of the level that you're playing. And then when you play at that level, for example, Josh, one of the best in the MAAC this year, I think it was 2 or 3 days after everything ended, where he was already ready to enter the portal. And all to him. He's a great player, will be a great player wherever he ends up. But it's just the matter of money is everything to everyone. And I think the fact that the players are considering that over where they play and their skill set and how they fit with whatever team is a big problem. And we haven't seen upsets for pretty much all of the tournament because of that issue. So I think that's a big problem.
I think for me personally, I kind of have an issue watching these games due to all this this I want to say nonsense coming from a degenerate sports bettor. But alleged. But just when you watch these games, like some of these Marist games are hard to watch because even though Pasquale did good, the back of your mind you're like, where is he gonna go? You can't sit there. You can't soak in the victory. You're like, oh, he had a good game. This just brought his value up. And now we know he's going to transfer schools. A good case for this in the tournament was, I would say, McNeese, that Clemson game. First of all, Clemson, what are we doing? I had you going all the way, losing to Florida, and you lose in the first round. And that is even worse. The worst one was Louisville. I had Louisville going to the Final Four. You lose to first game. First game, the back was broken. But anyway, back to the important stuff. McNeese, they had all these players. They had William Wade, is that the coach? Will Wade. And I know he was at LSU previously before. But the team that they had, it was special. It was probably the most fun game to watch. Even though they almost blew it, they were that whole game. They were kind of cooking it to those ACC boys. And as soon as that happened, even before, it was just all disbanded.
Yeah.
Like this is like the last time like these boys are gonna play together, and it's just like it's hard to get your heart into the team.
If I can make one thing I actually don't agree on is this. I find it incredibly different that it's just a different circumstance at a mid-major school and a Power 5 school, especially a top 15 school, top 20 school. It's different. Not even just put money off the table. Take it off the table. How often do you see a player of Josh Pasquale status, or Amari, not necessarily Patrick Gardner, because he came in kind of as we found him and he was a gem, which I love Patty G, but players that are born into a program, Amari Monroe, Bud Clark and Josh Pasquale and whatnot.
The entire first team all MAAC.
Yeah.
It is to be said that and I love the conference dearly, I really do, but it is not a conference that you can get drafted out of just out of the pure competition that you play in, right? Mm-hmm. The competition is of high-level college basketball. But in order to show in the NBA, because realistically, the top guys want to play professionally. Some of the guys in the conference, want to hang up their careers and say that they were an unbelievable college basketball athlete, maybe play a year, abroad. But some of the guys are league talent. You see it with Walter Clayton Jr.
Yeah.
How in the world was he going to become Walter Clayton Jr. that you know now if he stayed at Iona? It's not even just the money. It's the attention. It's the competition. It's the recognition. So I think that, yes, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference is a stepping stone of sorts. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a necessary stepping stone for these guys.
Yeah.
Because you come in, you make your name. You don't get recruited high. You don't get the 4 or 5 star offer. You get a 0, 1 star offer from these schools. Then you build your name up, and you are able to get the money, and you're able to get acknowledgement. You're able to get a first-round pick. So we got to see, and we've seen it, a lot of these players in the MAAC, Nelly Jr., Joseph, these are top-tier players, not even on that Iona Rick Pitino team. They go and they leave. They're just really good players, and they keep up that momentum, and sometime, I think we're going to see it now with Walter Clayton Jr. and Monroe, they're going to end up in the draft.
Derek, I'll ask you this based on what Will just said. Do you think there should be a requirement of years for when you make your original commitment as a freshman rather than being able to sign on for 1 year and then just bounce the next year? Do you think they need at least like a rookie deal in any professional sport? It's multiple years, but in these cases, you can commit, have your freshman year, and then just leave, obviously. And I think that players deserve to be incentivized for their performance, but it is a tricky subject when you're committing to a school and then a year later you're gone, and that commitment at this point I don't think really means as much as it used to.
I think it's simple. I think it's actually very simple. You look at coaches, you look at players. I think the way players should be handled is exactly how coaches should be. Can a coach leave after one season? Yes, but there's a buyout. There's other repercussions from them leaving. So if a player leaves after their first year, there's repercussions, there's consequences. I just think it's that simple because when you look at college athletes, you can talk about money, you can talk about everything that you guys talked about. I think it's the fact that you see people leave is not a bad thing, but it's not a good thing. It's just the way it is, and you need to adapt. It's fine. It's just the way it is. To me, in March Madness, I think what you look at it is, could a player at a mid-major school for 4 years go to the NBA? And I would say yes. However, with that said, in the new modern age, is it going to happen? No. But if you look at, let's just say, 10, 15 years ago, a team, let's just say, throw a team out there, Norfolk State, for an example. Yeah. And they go on a run actually, I'll give you a better example. FAU, Florida Atlantic, with Dusty May. They went on a run, and they went on a run. If they went on a run, let's just say, to the Elite Eight, Final Four, Sweet 16, maybe 4 Sweet 16s. You're telling me that player would not go to the NBA if they're the best player on the team? I would say that they probably would. But obviously that's a certain circumstance, and it's not realistic. But back on your point, should they have a contract obligations? Yes, but it should be more like coaches instead of it just being like, oh, you have to be a 2-year guy, because whatever happens with coaches, they're allowed to leave. Why can't players leave is my biggest issue and why the portal kind of came about.
Just a quick question for the panel here. Do you think because genuinely it's a great conversation, do you think that at a point, since there is a big imbalance of money between the high majors, Power 5 best teams, and the low majors, mid majors, that there should be a requirement of non-conference schedule making where there are bye games that are kind of required, whether you win or lose? But I feel like to see the low mid-major on the national stage could be kind of a nice little contract.
It's interesting. I think the deeper and deeper we get into the world of NIL, the more of professionalism is going to take place within amateur sport, and it's no longer going to be amateur sport. It's going to be professional, and bye games is interesting. When you were asking the question, I was thinking more about like caps and the way that the MLB does it, where the smaller market teams, they get revenue sharing, and I think that's possible for mid-major level and the lower conferences outside the Power 5. So bye games is interesting. I just don't know, because not every team wants to, like John Dunn is known for trying to have easier schedule in the beginning of the year and not scheduling harder games just so he can get his players into gear and not have to get blown out. And some other teams enjoy playing those games because of the money, for one, and also it's just experiencing higher talent and being able to play against those. So if you take away a coach's preference and their ability to choose, I don't think that's the best idea, but it is an interesting point of discussion because it would definitely help. I just don't know what the way to get the money to these schools is, and like I said, I think a level of where the MLB does it and being able to pay the teams that are smaller markets, which in this case are just mid-majors, I think that might be a solution.
No, I agree with that, but the only thing I would want to say in regards to that is if you were to take a team's coach's preference away and they weren't able to pick when their hard games were and they weren't able to pick when their easy games were, and like for instance with John Dunn, scheduling the easy games in the beginning of the seasons to kind of set them in, I think it would be way better for not only Marist but everyone if they didn't have the right to pick when, because if you're, for example, Marist, they were on a great run in the beginning of the season because of the people that they played. They come into the latter half of the season and they have to play competition. And it's not just your run-of-the-mill, team that you have played for years and can know how they play, know how they coach, and just beat. If they get into the latter half of the season and they're playing all these hard games, they're not ready for that. So I think that if it were to be a decision and it were to be on the table where coaches were no longer able to pick when they played what teams, I think that would be way better off for everyone and just the state of college basketball, because if you're going into the season, you're on a great run. Obviously, you're on a great run because you know who you're playing and you know how to beat them. If you're going into the season and you have 2 straight easy games and then you have a really hard game, that not only builds the team's chemistry and how they play against those type of opponents, but it also prepares them for what they have to face later on. Because when you throw a bunch of people into an easy schedule for the first half of the season, and then all of a sudden they have to play these really hard opponents, and they're not prepared for that because they play at a whole other skill level, it's obviously going to be worse for them. And I think it would be just better off, 1, entertaining-wise, 2, just for the teams to be able to not only not be able to pick when they play people, but also the experience that they can have as a team in the early half, just being able to see who they can beat that were supposed to be really hard, or see, like, if they had, like, 2 games within the first 3 days and they beat everyone and they were feeling great, and then they had a really hard game, really bad. Motivation is a huge factor. And I think when you take that level of motivation to beat a team because you're so confident that you know you can beat them, they come into the later half, they're confident, they're feeling great, and then they get blown out. It completely sets them back because in their head they're like, what did we do for the first 20 games? And now we have these games where we're just not competing at the level that we were, and then they're not ready for the tournament. So I think it would be better off, in my opinion, if the coaches were no longer able to pick, because it builds character and it is better for preparation for the team later on.
Well, yeah, I mean, this conversation would be drastically different if we were sitting here and this said Florida or Michigan or like Michigan State or Alabama, because they don't have anything to complain about. They're winning. So what? Their team changes, they're winning.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's great. Cory Bukarest, that was great.
That was awesome. Thank you guys for joining, and William and Tommy, great job with the track and field athletes. Good luck to them this weekend on their exhaustingly long bus ride. That'll be interesting.
And a big thanks to Gene Barbieri and Gary Sussman on our production staff and everyone who helps us here at the student section get our students on the section. Take care.